The simulation chamber hummed with frustrated energy as another drill ended in catastrophic failure. Melissa watched from the observation deck as holographic debris scattered across the training arena, her jaw tight with disappointment. Below, 6 young cadets, the Cubs, as they were mockingly called, stood with slumped shoulders, their neural interfaces flickering with exhaustion. "That's the 18th failure this week," Commander Vex announced through the comm system, his crystalline voice sharp with irritation. "These Cubs will never qualify for the Sentinel program at this rate." Melissa's fingers curled against the transparent steel viewport. She had trained countless cadets in her 5 years at the Orbital Academy, but never had she encountered a group so utterly incapable of synchronizing their abilities. Each Cub possessed remarkable individual talents: telekinetic precision, temporal awareness, energy manipulation. Yet together they functioned like broken machinery. "Give them one more chance," she said quietly. Vex's holographic form materialized beside her, his Valorian features twisted in skepticism. "You waste resources, Instructor Melissa. These Cubs are genetically inferior. Their failure was predetermined." The word stung because she knew what he meant. The Cubs weren't pure-blooded Valorians or enhanced Martians or quantum-touch Jovians. They were mixed heritage, descendants of Earth colonists who had interbred with other species across the solar system. The Academy had accepted them as a political gesture, never expecting them to succeed, but Melissa saw something else. Something the highborn instructors missed. She descended to the training floor where Jack, the squad leader, was removing his neural interface with trembling hands. At 19, he carried the weight of his team's failures like physical chains. His eyes, one green, one amber, a mark of his mixed genetics, met hers with barely contained despair. "We're done, aren't we?" Jack asked, his voice hollow. "They're going to wash us out." Melissa glanced at the other Cubs gathering around them. Kira, with her copper skin and electromagnetic talents, twins Zaid and Zara, who could phase through matter but never simultaneously, Roan, whose precognitive flashes came too late to be useful, and little May, who could manipulate gravity but lacked the confidence to control it. "Tell me something," Melissa said, ignoring Jack's question. "What did you do before the Academy?" Jack blinked at the unexpected query. I worked salvage on the asteroid belt, recovering ships that got caught in debris fields." "And you?" She turned to Kira. "Repaired solar collectors on Mercury, kept them running during plasma storms." One by one, the Cubs shared their histories. Zaid and Zara had navigated cargo through quantum tunnels. Roan had predicted weather patterns for Venus terraformers. May had adjusted gravity wells for deep space mining operations. Melissa felt something click into place. "You weren't trained for combat," she said slowly. "You were trained for survival, for improvisation. That's why we're failing," Jack said bitterly. "We don't think like soldiers." "No," Melissa countered, a plan forming in her mind. "That's why you're going to succeed." She activated her wrist comm. "Commander Vex, I'm requesting permission to modify the training protocol." "Denied," came the instant response. "The Sentinel trials are standardized across all academies. I'm not asking to change the trials," Melissa interrupted. "I'm asking to change how we prepare for them. Give me 72 hours. Silence stretched across the comm finally. "You have 48 hours, Earthborn. Not a moment more." The slur didn't escape her notice. Earthborn, as if being from humanity's cradle world made her lesser. But Melissa had learned long ago that prejudice could be a weapon if you knew how to wield it. She turned to the Cubs with fierce determination. "Forget everything they've taught you about formation flying and synchronized attacks. That's not who you are." Jack frowned. "Then what are we supposed to do?" "Do it your way," Melissa said. "Jack, when you recovered ships in the belt, did you follow standard extraction procedures?" "Hell no. Every wreck is different. You adapt or you die." "Exactly." "Kira, when those plasma storms hit, did you follow the maintenance manual?" "The manual would have gotten me killed. I rewired on instinct." Melissa smiled. "That's what I thought. Now listen carefully. The trial simulates a deep space rescue under enemy fire. Every team that's passed it has used the same strategy: tight formation, overlapping shields, synchronized firepower. It works if you're all the same species with the same abilities and the same training. But we're not," May whispered. "No, you're not. And that's your advantage." Melissa pulled up a holographic schematic of the trial environment. "Forget synchronized anything. You're going to operate like a salvage crew in hostile space. Jack, you're not the squad leader, you're the coordinator. Everyone else runs semi-autonomous, checking in only when necessary. She spent the next 48 hours rewriting their entire approach. Instead of memorizing attack patterns, she had them practice chaos scenarios where communication failed and improvisation was required. She disabled their neural interfaces during drills, forcing them to rely on instinct rather than shared consciousness. She threw random obstacles at them, system failures, environmental hazards, impossible choices, and watched as they began to move like they had in their previous lives, like survivors, like scavengers, like the children of Earth who had learned to thrive in the margins of an empire that didn't want them. When trial day arrived, Commander Vex and a dozen high-ranking officials gathered in the observation deck. Melissa stood apart from them, her heart hammering as the Cubs entered the simulation chamber. The scenario initialized. A civilian transport caught in the crossfire between two automated defense platforms, its hull breaching, life support failing, and enemy drones converging. The other observers expected the standard formation approach. Instead, the Cubs scattered. Vex made a sound of disgust. They're already breaking apart. But Melissa saw the pattern. Jack didn't try to hold them together. Instead, he called targets and trajectories while moving independently. Hero went high, using her electromagnetic abilities to confuse the drone's targeting systems. The twins phased through the debris field from opposite directions, each drawing fire away from the transport. Roan didn't predict the future. He called out immediate threats as they emerged, his delayed precognition finally useful in the chaos. And May, small and terrified, stopped trying to be strong. She used gentle gravity adjustments instead of massive force, creating a current that guided survivors toward Jack's position. That IT looked like chaos. It moved like improvisation. But it worked with a strange, organic efficiency that no standard formation could match. Within 6 minutes, they had secured the civilians, neutralized the defense platforms, and cleared the drone swarm. The simulation ended with 0 casualties and the Cubs still standing. Absolute silence filled the observation deck. Then the performance metrics appeared. Not just passing scores, legendary scores. Faster completion time than any team in Academy history. Higher survival rates. More efficient energy usage. Commander Vex stared at the numbers as if they had personally offended him. Melissa descended to the arena floor where the Cubs stood in shock at their own success. Jack looked at her with something like wonder. "How did you know?" "Because I'm Earthborn too," she said quietly. "And I learned a long time ago that our way isn't worse. It's just different. You don't have the luxury of genetic perfection or generations of specialized training. But you have something they'll never understand. You know how to make do with what you've got. You know how to survive when everything's falling apart. That's not weakness. That's the most powerful ability in the universe." Above them, the observation deck erupted in heated debate. But down on the floor, surrounded by her Cubs who had finally become legends, Melissa allowed herself a smile. Sometimes the greatest victories came not from following the proven path, but from teaching others it was okay to forge their own.